have his confession on tape. The news people said so. I balled my hands into fists. He said what he did for reasons I don't understand yet, but what I do understand is my dad, and he would never hurt another person, much less help someone who did. He seeks justice and sends the monsters who do those appalling acts to prison. He doesn't help them get free. Silence stretched out in the beat-up Ford Focus we rode in, but only for a couple of seconds. "I think you're in denial, Princess," my cousin said with a complete lack of compassion. "Your dad was sentenced to 7 years behind bars, and from what Ciara said to Mama during his trial, he'll most likely get between 1 or 2 years suspended for good behaviour if he keeps his head down, but that's still a long time. He's already been locked up a year and nothing has changed about his case. He's serving his time because he committed a crime." My lip curled upwards into a snarl, and I managed to contain the outburst that was dying to be released, though barely. My hands trembled, and clasping them together only helped a little. "Don't give me lessons on the law, cousin," I said, my tone clipped. "The law has been a constant factor in my life, or have you already forgotten what my dad's profession is?" Or was. In a mumble, she said, "A lot of good being a barrister has done for him." I bit my tongue at the jab and didn't respond. "I'm sorry," she sighed a moment later. "That wasn't funny." "No," I agreed. "It wasn't." I had found out early on in my life that Eddie was not a particularly jocular person, not from my past encounters with her anyway, and so far it looked like things hadn't changed. She was what my dad would call a free spirit, which I think was a polite way of saying she was a hyped-up female dog. Bitch. The car swerved a little and caused me to latch on to the handle of the passenger door with both hands. "Excuse me?" Eddie blurted out. "What'd you just call me?" I widened my eyes, shocked when I realised that I'd said what I was thinking out loud. "Nothing," I said, keeping my gaze on the passenger side window. "I wasn't talking about you." "You're right," she huffed. "You were talking about someone else who just insulted you then." I leaned my head back against the headrest and let go of the door handle. "I'm not doing this, Addie," I said, hearing defeat in my tone. "I'm not emotionally stable enough to entertain a fight with you, so do me a favour and leave it out." She scoffed. "And you think an argument with you will give me some sort of sadistic pleasure?" She sneered. "Please. The last thing I want to do is talk to you, let alone fight with you. I just wanted to get to the bottom of whether you knew what was going on with your dad. And I already told you that I had no idea." "But how? Surely you noticed something." I looked at her and instead of snapping at her like I had prepared to do, I paused, because from her side profile she looked exactly like my mother. From a particular picture that I had seen of her anyway. She had the same shaped nose, the same long eyelashes, the exact same plump red lips, and of course the fiery auburn hair, features that I most definitely did not inherit. Eddie looked more like my mother than I did. I didn't have any memories of my mother, or none that I could recall very easily at least. I only knew of her through dozens of pictures, video recordings, and tales that my dad had told me. He portrayed my ma like a beautiful princess, but unfortunately one who did not receive a happily ever after. I rarely got sad when I thought of my mother because I never really knew her, but I sometimes mourned the relationship that could have been. She died from kidney failure when I was 4. "Princess," Eddie hissed, pulling me from my thoughts. "You aren't even listening to me." "I'm not ignoring you." I blinked, turning my gaze forward. "I just have a lot on my mind. Don't take it personally. I think more than I talk. I always have." I tensed when the engine made a suspicious sound, but relaxed when I looked at Eddie and saw she wasn't alarmed. I swallowed. "Do you reckon we should have just taken my car instead of leaving it in the garage at my house?" "No, I don't." Eddie snickered and patted the dashboard.